So my name is Karen Bolton. I'm the CEO. Attitude is an organization owned by Lloyd's Register, and it's a specialized cybersecurity services. I have been within information technology, both of my undergraduate and master's. I moved to the United States. Firstly out of Chicago, and then for the last 5 years out of New
Oh, wow. Okay. So my first question for you is, do you have a set of ethical principles that you use when faced with difficult questions or situations in your career?
Yeah, so I think that's always a really interesting question. From an organization's perspective, there's always ethics policies that are, particularly, they are ethics policies that everybody's expected to follow. And obviously, the more and more senior you are, and as part of my role as CEO, I'm actually the director. So, as a director of companies that are both registered, I have ethics requirements associated. So, and those are all of the standard things that you would write about, making sure that there's no bribery, corruption, anti-discrimination, following company policy and procedure, all of those things, right? And I think from my perspective, what becomes really important as a person and as an individual, how do you face off to that? How do you think about it? And how do you want to be known, and what sort of person? For me, I've always tried to operate from being very open, being very willing to, so that you don't find yourself in difficulty, left something to fester. And I think you have to come at it from a perspective. What's most important for everybody in the organization? Not just what does it mean, right? That becomes true with wrongful behavior, with performance, whatever it is that you're needing to express. Thinking about it broadly rather than just narrowly, I find is a great guiding principle in terms of how to make sure that I do the right thing. And at the end of the day, when I weigh everything up, I can sit there and say, I've done the best that I could in that.
I agree. So for the second question, would you able to, I think you already answered this, but would you be able to provide an example of a situation in your business in which you apply these principles? So an example of the ethical principles.
Evidence of that. I just, as when you're in a leadership, tell you different things,
Yeah.
and suddenly, I'd gotten some information from the individual, gotten some information about the manager, about what they thought they were doing, and then I got some information from about what they were doing, and I put all of that together and went, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And so that's when the ethics piece comes in, right? Because you could sit there and go, you could just blow it off and go, oh, I must have misunderstood. Or you could sit there and go, do I truly have a problem? And so sometimes I think it comes, or that you do or you don't have a problem. So that's what we had to do in this particular case. And as it turned out, but it starts with being prepared to act on and not just ignoring it because you're busy. And it's easy, right? It's easy to be busy. Everybody's busy. And people say to me all the time, and I'm sure they say it to your dad too, right? You're the CEO, you've got so much on your plate, right? But your dad and I would both say, even the most junior people in the organization, they have a lot on their plate too. It's just they have different stuff, right? So you have to prioritize and go, this is actually another area that I'm really very passionate about. Women, we're an underrepresented group of individuals in information technology, and that's even more highlighted within cybersecurity. Very underrepresented from a women's perspective. You have to take a step further than ethics and really take it to inclusion to make sure that you get underrepresented groups come to the table and that they feel welcome, they feel like they're part of the organization. That's a topic that I take seriously, and that's more on the positive side of ethics, right? That I feel like I'm doing something proactive and constructive to help that cause and really.
For my third question, do you think that any particular business question, decision, or situation represents a difficult ethical issue?
A tough question because it's really broad. I think that in any and then it becomes a question of how big a decision versus how important is it, right? So when you're thinking about whether we're going to submit this price for a proposal or this price for a proposal, you may not give it much thought, right? You may or you may not. But the bigger the decision, I think. So think about when you have an opening in an organization. How does the organization go about participate so you have to apply ethical. There'll be discussions in organizations around the globe, including what are we going to do clients, right? To say thank you. And you've got to think about that. You want to appreciate your clients, but you don't want to do it in such a way that it implies any form of undue pressure. And likewise, you can't accept anything. Well, right? So in any aspect, you have to have those principles, those guiding principles that you're operating in, and then it just becomes a question of how much of them do you apply and how significant you apply them based on the size of the business.
Okay. And my last question is, do you have any advice that you could provide for me as I think about ethical issues that I may face as a young woman who will one day pursue a career?
Woman and pursuing a career. As much as we would like to think in the world, that's my first comment. Will drive whether or not you will find yourself or in an environment that actually makes more bias towards women than men, right? For the nursing arena, right? It's more female dominated than male. Or you might find yourself in an environment where you have to. And I think my advice to you would be mindful of that balance as you select a career. Not as your driver, right? Not as your driver for your career. Mindful and be mindful of skills that you need to develop. For women, influence skills that's one area that I think becomes really. I have two daughters myself. I don't know if I told you that, but I have two daughters. You know, I always say to them, there's not enough strong women in the world. So it's really, really important that those skill sets be able to drive that. Now, and I happen to know your mum is a strong woman. So I know that you've got a really good pedigree there to follow from, right? I think that that's actually, and you know, just be true to your goals and true to who you want to be. And finally, you know, a piece of advice I got from a mentor, you know, and bearing in mind in the context of being in information where it is more male than female.
Yeah.
So, so
Okay.
he said to me a really long time ago, when you get an advantage for being a woman, take it, because you won't always get, they won't come along often.
Right,
So
right.
seize them and take them. And so I
Okay.
guess that's the other piece of advice I would give you. Where you
Okay.
get an opportunity,
Yeah.
seize it, take advantage of it, because you won't always get it, and don't have to feel apologetic. Don't even feel that way. Because there'll be many times when you won't get it because you were female.
Right, right. Okay, well, thank you so much. This has been so helpful. I just want to say thank you so much again.